All right, I think we're ready. Welcome, everyone. The only other thing that I have to say is if you do have a question, there is also a little button for questions. So let me see if I can find it here. You could do a couple different things. You can go into chat and type your question in the chat. Or you could virtually raise your hand, which I'm trying to find where that is. Maria or anybody, can you help me here?
Reactions.
Oh, there you go. Reactions. If you're on an iPad, it might be hard to find the reactions, but there are thumbs up and things like that in the screenshots that you can pick up. If you put something in there, one of the moderators will see that and will get the attention of the speaker to answer your question. The only other one I see real quick, John Crookson. If you could change your name for us. Go into participants, click on your name, and then you could change your name. We don't want to call you John. I know you're not John. I remember you from last week.
Okay.
All right, Walt, it's all you. Take it away.
Thank you, Tom. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. It's my pleasure to welcome all the incoming club presidents, as many as we have. Hopefully there will be more, as well as any other future leaders who are with us today, to the second of the 6 pre-pets training sessions. It's now my great pleasure to introduce our district governor-elect, Vince Costa, a member of the Oakland Rotary Club. Okay. Vince is a member of the Oakland Rotary Club and a resident of Irwin. Vince?
Thank you, Walt. Hello, everybody. As Walt has said, welcome you to the second pre-pets program. We're very excited about this approach, and we hope that you have the opportunity to really learn a lot about what it means to be a president of your Rotary Club. Before I continue, I would like to welcome our district governor, Al DeLucia, to come and just share a few words with us. Al, it's all yours.
Thank you, Vince. Appreciate that. It's great to see everybody here tonight. First of all, I just want to thank all the president-elects for accepting the opportunity to serve as president of your club. You know, if this is the first time that you'll serve as a club president, the training you're going to receive now and in these future pre-pets and the pet sessions are going to prepare you well for your year as president. If this is not the first time that you've served as president, you know, this training is going to build on the knowledge you've gained in the past. It's going to sharpen your leadership skills and it's going to prepare you to face the challenges and opportunities that you'll face during your year as president. You know, I also want to say thank you to any of the vice presidents that might be on the call tonight, because by attending these pre-pets and the pet sessions, you'll get a better understanding of how you can work with your incoming president and make an even more successful year. And you'll get even more out of your pre-pets and pets next year when you're preparing to be president of your club next year during pre-pets and pets. I want to say thanks to all of the assistant governors, the facilitators, the moderators, and especially to our DGE, Dr. Vince Costa, and his training team for all the hard work they've put into these sessions and making sure that you're going to be as prepared as you can possibly be to become club president. You know, your training to become
probably about 3.5 aside or something.
Your training to become the most important person in Rotary, a Rotary club president. The club president is the person that there's no more direct impact on what a club achieves and the direction a club takes than from the president. You know, the magic of Rotary happens at the club level. It doesn't happen anywhere else but at the club. And as president, you have a lot to do and probably the most to do with the magic that happens in your club. So I'd just like to say, please take advantage of the training opportunities you have with these pre-pet sessions, the pet sessions. Get to know your classmates, exchange information, exchange ideas, because that's really how you put into place the things that you're learning by talking to your classmates, talking to other people about what you've learned, what ideas you like, what ideas you think you might want to put into place in your year as club president. So again, thank you all for taking the opportunity to serve your club. Thank you all for being here in this training, and I wish you the best of luck in your year as president next year. Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Al. Okay, just want to share one thing with you. As I mentioned last week, the DGEs have formed a club or a group, and we refer to ourselves as Team Galaxy. And I just want to share with you, can everybody see me?
Yep.
Okay, this is our banner for this year.
It's
Not
going-
working very well. Any case, the banner at the bottom says Rotary, one giant leap for humanity. And that's a very important step that we take as Rotarians, that we make a great quality of humanity throughout the world. Something that you're involved with as president. So I want to encourage you, as Al has just encouraged you, learn as much as you can about being the president and taking as many opportunities as you can to learn to be a better leader. With that, I would like to pass this back on to Walt. Walt, thank you.
Thank you, Vince and Al. Tom, did you have any more housekeeping you needed to take care of? Tom, are you there? I guess he did it all before. Before we get started on Module 2, direct district support for clubs and members, which you should all have received an email containing the entire module for you to look over ahead of time. But before we continue, I have to ask one important question. And I think you might know the answer from something that was settled just a bit ago. But the question is, how important is a Rotary Club president? Dan, can we have the first slide, please? One would first think it would be as shown in this diagram, with the RI president at the top and the club presidents at the bottom. That, of course, is wrong. The Rotary Club president actually holds the most important position or office in the entire Rotary world. As shown in this diagram, the 35,000 plus Rotary Club presidents throughout the world definitely hold the most important office in Rotary. All of the other officers, directors, chairpeople, etc., act as support for the club presidents, as Rotary is and always has been club-based. Without the clubs, there wouldn't be Rotary. Please, as you plan for and proceed through your upcoming year as your club's president, other officer, or chairperson, don't hesitate to ask for and rely on the aforementioned support group when you feel the need. Every one of us wants every club to be very successful and dynamic. And if you need some assistance to accomplish that goal, be sure to seek out that help. Next, we're going to move on to a panel discussion, a question and answer. This would be time, Dan, for the list of the subjects. The panel members who said they would be with us, I hope they all are. Dan Doherty, I know he's here. Al DeLucia, yeah. Mark Barnhart, Vince Costa, Felicia Misick, Sandra Rebholz, and soon, hopefully, Aaron Tuscan will be able to come on. He was working, hope to get in by 7. It's not there yet. But so this would be a question and answer time where if someone has a question on one of these subjects, we have the person on board that can be able to answer it for you. So I'll open the meeting now to any questions anybody might have. Questions? Is Tom on the call? I thought he might have something.
We are having internet issues in the Fallon household, but I have a question.
Okay.
Mr. Barnhart, would you be able to briefly explain what the Rotary Leadership Institute is?
Rotary Leadership Institute was founded in 1992 in New Jersey. It is not an official program of Rotary International, but it is endorsed by Rotary International. It is a program that is divided into divisions, and our district is a member of the mainline division. It is a program. The name Rotary Learning Institute is what it really should be instead of Rotary Leadership. Although there are a lot of things about leadership, how to motivate club members, the qualities of leaders, what leaders must do, what they shouldn't do. But there is so much basic education of Rotary. And just from the screenshot that we had here, John Hartman has graduated from RLI. Let me get my list of names and I can pretty much tell you. Pat Schaefer has done RLI. Komet Stanley has done RLI. I hope I don't forget anybody. Karen Brooks has done it. Joe Pezar is working on it. Colleen Arnowitz has been working on it. Steve Arnowitz isn't here, but he has done it. I don't want to take a lot of time just looking for names. And I think Tom and Marie have done it, but it was years and years ago when they did RLI. Vince has done it. I think Walt has done it, and Al DeLucia has done it. And when you're done with the first three classes, they're parts 1, 2, and 3. They have to be taken in order. We're doing them online. Then we have graduate courses, and the people interested in taking a graduate course pick the topics that want to be covered. We just finished a graduate course on how to grow a small club and strategic planning with the 2 topics covered. We meet in the evenings online via Zoom. Surprise, everybody's on Zoom. 6:30 to 8:30. We will do within 8 days a whole course, which is 3 evenings. The biggest thing is, and especially for you first-time presidents, is it gets you outside of your club. You will meet like-minded Rotarians who are fantastic people, not only in our district, but also 7280 and 7360. And you will have a common bond with them for taking RLI. Sheila Kristalowski from Delmont Salem also has taken RLI. Does that answer the question, Marie?
I think it does. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
There is no cost right now in District 7305 for RLI. There is a $25 charge, but the district has budgeted a $25 scholarship for anyone who successfully completes a course day. And you register by going to the RLI website. It's all in your handout, the address, and just register. You're just letting me know you're interested. And then when we form a class, like a part 1, part 2, part 3, I will email you to see if the dates work for you. We are now starting a part 2 that will begin on February 21st.
I've got a question from Rich from Connellsville. He's asked, what additional training will PEs get prior to starting their year?
Well, that's you.
Well, Vince, do you want to grab that?
Yeah, I was typing a response, but I'll grab that. There's the remaining pre-pets program. We have 4 more weeks. During the week of pets, we have the 2 Saturdays and Sunday, March 7th, and then 2 district pets programs during the week, Tuesday and Thursday nights. Then district assembly is going to be scheduled probably the 3rd or 4th week of April. And then we do have for the membership chairs, we do have a membership summit coming up starting the 2nd week of February. That's correct, 2nd week. And continuing that will be 6 weeks also. The last 2 weeks will be after the PETS program. Those are the ones that are most important for president-elects. And so that gives you a brief overview of what to expect.
Okay, there's another question out there. When should we be, as PEs, starting to meet with our assistant governors? Will they contact us or should we contact them?
I guess Aaron's not on. Dan, did you want to field that one or want me to?
I think I'll take that one. As assistant governors, we should be out visiting our clubs, whether it's in person, Zoom, or their meet at least once a quarter. So as your assistant governor comes around to visit your club, definitely make sure you carve out a little bit of time with them before or after the meeting. Because that's basically what we are, and that'll probably cover another question. We are your conduit to district leadership. When things come down the pipeline that are going on, we're the ones that are trying to let you know when stuff like PETS, district assembly coming up. So now definitely, if you don't know who your assistant governor is, reach out to your president, get in touch with them now, and it's never too early to get the ball rolling.
May I add one thing to that? Occasionally we hear someone say, oh, wow, the assistant governor, he's just there to spy on our club and tell the district governor what we're doing wrong. That is as far from the truth as possible. The assistant governor is, as Dan said, the conduit between the club and the district governor to see how the district governor and everybody else can help the club to be successful. Please never think that the AG is there to spy on you. That's not true at all. And if that happens, we want to know about it and end it. It's one of the support systems.
I'd like to jump in here. The other thing that's important is that this pre-PETS and PETS program is to help you to prepare for next year. So putting your plans together, trying to develop some ideas. You can always turn to your AG at any time and discuss these ideas with the AG. They may have some other ideas that they can share with you. The other possibility is you might be able to join with other clubs and do a joint program together. Maybe a fundraiser together or a community outreach type program that would benefit the broader community. So again, rely on your AGs. I mean, don't wait for them to come to you. If you have some ideas, if you have some questions now, you might want to start talking to them about what you hope to accomplish in your year as president.
I got a question that was sent to me, and Felicia, this one is for you. This person asks, what would be the first thing that folks look on a club's Facebook page?
Well, I think that depends on the person. So when it comes down to social media, when it comes down to Facebook, your whole thing is to make sure there's content on that Facebook. So they're looking for activity. Is your club still alive? Meaning, is there life happening in your club? And the only way we know there's life is happening is the fact that if you are actually publishing content. If you're not publishing content, so if I go to your Facebook page and I take the time out to actually go and search for you online, and when I Google search on you online, I don't find a website, your Facebook page comes up. And on that Facebook page, I'm looking to see, okay, well, I'm curious about what's going on in this club in this area. And the last time they posted something was in 2019. Well, that immediately is going to let that person feel like, well, this club may not be active. So that's some of the things that some people may look for. Maybe they're looking to see who's the current president, what's going on, but more than likely they're looking for content and seeing what you're doing, because that's their way of first getting to know who you are. So when you're thinking of bringing life to your club, remember, like, I know this is silly, but remember, life is what brings life to things, water, rain. So if you are making it rain content nonstop, people see nothing. Your club is growing. There's life. There's vibrancy. Somebody's doing something in that club, and they want to be where they're like doing something great. So make it rain in your club when it comes down to content. Put as much as you can on there. You have a meeting, a guest speaker, put it on there. You gave out a donation, put it on there. Today's your club member's birthday, put it on there. Spotlight that member. But that's what I would imagine. But I would say look at it from yourself. When you go on social media, what are you looking for? What got you to their page in the first place? And I think that's the biggest part that we have to start is how do you get somebody on your page?
Can I add a little bit to that question as well? I think in our club, we don't do a well enough job of promoting the work that we have done. But I also think there's a fine line between promoting what you've done and glorifying it.
Yeah.
So how do you skirt that line?
I really love these questions, and I want to make sure we stay within the guidelines. Module 3, you'll hear a lot more with public image and social media and all those other great things. Tonight, I think my main purpose today was emerging leaders, but your question is definitely makes sense. So when it comes down to really like making sure that you're not saying, look at me, I'm giving this poor person money, pay attention to me, me. You don't want that, because that right there doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel like you're doing something that really glorifies that person. You're glorifying yourself. So if you're looking at it in that way, you have to think of it this way. Like when I go out and when I'm trying to do something on behalf of someone else, my goal is to make them the spotlight. Try not to make it about you. So when you write about someone else, don't start any of your posts as I or this Rotary Club or anything like that. Always start with whoever you're featuring. So if you're featuring, say you gave a check to your school district, the Ambridge Area School District I use the Ambridge because that was my old club, but the Ambridge Area School District is doing this outstanding things with these youth, and with the youth, this is what they were able to do. And as our Rotary Club, we were so thankful we were able to help them out. So the way to do it, I would definitely recommend is if you were going to post things, always post putting that person as the spotlight and not so much your club, and just show what your club is doing to help them with their mission, or how you're pushing the Rotary mission ahead. So think of those 7 avenues of service that we have. With which one of those service avenues are you working on? I hope that helps. No problem.
Yes, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
For those of you that are not reading the chat, Harold Hicks mentions to the PEs on page 2 of the notes from the module, your AG is on there and with their contact information. And it looks like their 3rd quarter visit should start in February. So they should be getting in touch with your club president soon.
They're also listed on the district website also.
And of course, those are the current assistant governors. And when Vince takes office in July, there might be several changes. But just keep in mind, they're a 1-year basic and then a reappointment if so. Okay, anybody else?
I've got a question about the Rotary Leadership Institute again. If you're not sure if you've taken the first session, Mark, is there a way to find out? Is that recorded anywhere?
Yes, I have a database. I can tell you the dates you took them.
Okay. Andy Nixon asked Vince, can you please reconfirm the dates of the actual pets?
Okay, the general sessions will be February 27th, morning and afternoon. And then on Saturday, March 6th, morning and afternoon. And then Sunday afternoon will be the final general session.
March 7th.
March 7th.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Then during the week on March 2nd and March 4th, we'll have evening 1-hour programs for just our district. We got to remember that PETS is for 3 different districts. So during the general sessions, all 3 districts will be participating. And we have made it open to all members of Rotary clubs throughout those 3 districts. So we could have upwards of 1,000 or more just participating in the General Assembly, the general sessions, I'm sorry. During the week, it will be our district only. So we hope to have as many people involved as possible. So I hope was that helpful for whoever was asking?
Yeah, it's Andy, Vince. Thanks. Could you just say what the 2 midweek dates are again, please?
March 2nd and 4th.
2nd and 4th. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? We have about 5 more minutes left in this segment of the evening. Dennis has a question, looks like.
Okay. Walt, did you see that last question from Dennis?
It went away before I saw it. I don't know if Tom had it or not.
Is the registration active yet for pets?
We just got the registration link today. So we'll be getting that out to everyone to start registering.
That's for tri-pets, of course.
The tri-pets, yeah.
Right. But that would include the 2 breakouts for their district. It's all sort of inclusive.
I need to confirm that. It's since all 3 districts are going to operate separately, it's not clear to me if it's going to be managed by tri-pets or each district will manage its own. So still need to clarify that part.
Okay.
I think that's it, Walt.
Okay, well, we're ahead of schedule then. Okay, the next thing we're going to do here should be very interesting, hopefully. We're asking all of the repeating presidents, people on here who have been a president once or twice or 3 or 4 times before, to act as a panel to answer questions for those folks who will be doing it for the first time. If you have an idea you want to bring up that would prompt a question, that's fine. But if any of the newbies, so to speak, have a question to start out, that would be good. And then we will rely on the experience of those who have done it before. And they have some great experience, good and bad. Any comments or questions out there?
I have a question, actually. I guess I should turn my camera on because I'm talking so much. So I am actually president-elect. I'm just trying to get a jump on the ball. But my question is, obviously, I'm a relatively younger member. So the biggest hurdle I'm worried I'm going to have is having that leadership position and, not feeling like, okay, well, I'm younger, so I need to constantly rely on the older members, or, maybe they're not listening to me. So I guess I'm looking for advice on how to step into that leadership role and have the confidence in, in myself and what I'm planning for my year, that I guess the older folks in the club will notice. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Yeah. Felicia, you had an answer?
Yeah. So I came into a club that had a lot of leadership that was there for a while. I was president twice in Ambridge, and then now I'm president again in the E Club, and I am the president one more time for the E-Club, my advice to you would be to do what you're doing right now. The one word that you said, the operative word in what you said was confidence. You are ahead of the game, young lady, if that's okay for me to say. You are president-elect to the elect. I believe that's what you said. So let's run with that. Just stay where you're at. Stay in that mindset. You're telling yourself right now, I need to be ready, and I want to learn and digest as much as I can. So do that now, because when you have that confidence, when you hear someone else say something, the only thing that you're going to have to deal with at that point is learning, making sure that you're respectful of the traditions that they are doing, and being able to know how to communicate your vision and to make sure to see if you can get them on board. So now your whole thing is just to learn what you can, know who the players are, and know how to navigate Rotary. And like I said, do what you're doing. You're ahead of the game. Like, I don't know what that means. 2-3 years ahead of the game. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Don't stop.
I'm just wondering, does your club have a board of directors? Some clubs.
We do have a board. The club is, I'm actually part of Aaron Tuskin's club. So we do have a board, but I've also only been part of the club since 2019. So he's trying to guide me so I can learn more now. Obviously with having a whole year that we've been virtual, it's been hard to get used to the traditions and what the club normally does.
Right.
And to learn more about Rotary. So that's why, he had said you jump on pre-pets and you'll be able to learn a lot more. So that's why I'm here. But we do have a board of directors, yes.
That can be a big help. We'll start working with them as much as possible. Convey the ideas that you have. Get opinions. Doesn't mean if they say no that you have to say no. But work with the board and the membership in this preparation. The preparation, for example, for a district governor is 3 years of training. So you have about 1.5 years for your presidential training. But don't be afraid to make suggestions, to ask questions, and to ask for help. Because we're all here to support each other. Just like I mentioned before, the different committees and officers are there to support the club president. So are the members of the club. It should be one big support group, and one, I call it a family. If your club is a family, you'll work together and be successful. Colleen, did you have something to say?
I was going to add something to that.
I was going to say.
Colleen had her hand. Just a second, Dennis. Colleen?
I'm right here. Yeah. Be flexible and learn how to delegate. We had a couple of fundraisers, especially that we just weren't getting the traction for. So I went back to the club and they said, do you want to drop it? And we did. It was just as good easier for my club members to handle. And we found ourselves in the middle of my first quarter of my year without a place to meet because our place that we were meeting had decided they weren't going to serve lunch anymore. Yep. Steve and I were leaving for zone training, so I couldn't take care of it right then. And a couple of my members stepped up and I said, sure, go ahead, take care of it. And I called them later in the week and we got it all straightened out. So don't be afraid, things like that come up. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I don't know what to do here. Can someone help me with this particular part of the problem? Because your members oftentimes have a lot of good solutions.
Right. I know Dennis was up next.
I was just going to say the most important tool to anybody who's in a presidential role is relationship building. You might know a lot of your members, but to really get to know them and build their relationships also develops respect, and people will follow you and admire and be led by your presidency because of that relationship. So clubs that are the healthiest are typically clubs that have a very deep, like Walt said, family relationship. So if there are members that you identify that you don't really know well, I would suggest coming up with a strategy to get to know them better. In my club, my year as a president, I basically took about 3 or 4 key people that I didn't know all that well and wanted to kind of utilize, and I wanted to honestly get to know them better. And our families would all go out for a family meal back then when we were not all in COVID lockdown. But, you know, just come up with a strategy that really helps you effectively build a relationship, because there's knowing someone and then really knowing people. And if your club does that as a whole, it really creates a very strong club. But as you personally get to do that, that also just trickles down and creates a very strong relationship as well as respect.
Thank you, Dennis. I see Harold Hicks has his hand up.
I got a question from Rich from Connellville first. He asked a little bit ago, Walt. He asked what the biggest challenge for the first year as president is. Any of our seasoned presidents out there want to pick that up?
For
Okay,
me,
I
the
will
biggest,
then.
I'll go ahead, Tom.
Okay, go, Gary.
So my biggest challenge was always trying to find speakers for the different types of lunches that we had. We had lunch meetings that when I was part of Aliquippa, now I'm part of Ambridge Rotary Club, but trying to find a speaker for an hour because I know we were very limited in lunch time. So that was my biggest challenge, was trying to find somebody to bring them in, have a good conversation for an hour and get them promoted and also interested in Rotary, get them to join Rotary. But I think that was my biggest challenge, is trying to find some topics that they were interested in to bring into the club.
Thanks, Gary.
Yep.
I guess I'll add on to that. When I was president, I was pretty new to Rotary and my club. I was only 6 months into Rotary before they asked me to take over for someone who had left the club as president. So I guess learning the history of the Rotary Club, to know what worked in the past, what didn't work in the past, so we can try new things, maybe try old things that didn't work. So talking to some of the members who have been there for a while and see what's going on, just so you have an understanding of what you're getting into, so to speak.
Let me interject. We're getting into discussions, which are really great, but we're supposed to go into breakout sessions and have discussions there. So it might be good to have questions answered within the breakout sessions. And then when we come back together, the important issues will be summarized and can be shared then. I mean, this is a great conversation, but we're going to be going on for another 20 minutes before we get to our breakout session.
Okay.
Walt, Tom, if we can move on to there.
Sure.
Sure. We're a little ahead of time.
Are we?
Yeah, we can go on to the breakout sessions because they will be a very valuable tool here. Are there 6 breakouts as there were last week, Tom? Dan?
There are 6.
There will be 6. Okay. So each person on the call will be assigned to a certain breakouts room, of which there are 6. When you go in there, we ask that within that breakout room, you appoint a leader and a spokesperson. So when we come back together after the 2 breakout sessions to the group discussion, someone from each room will be able to tell what the breakout ideas and conclusions were from that meeting. So Maria, are you assigning the breakout rooms?
Yeah, I have that all taken care of. Breakouts are going to be 10 minutes and you'll get a 60-second warning of when you're going to be, magically transported back. So without further ado, are we good to go?
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had some good breakouts, good ideas, some good discussions. Next, we're going to be into a group discussion with everybody on the call. And we asked someone from each of the 6 breakout rooms to give us a fairly concise idea of the conclusions you reached and the suggestions that were made and the questions that were asked. Should we just go from 1 to 6? Have a spokesperson number 1?
Sure.
All right, breakout room number 1 was Brian, Kemet, Chuck, Jerry, Philomena, Rob, and Walt. It's all you.
Oh, we didn't even know our number. Who would like to speak? Jerry, would you like to tell us about it?
I knew you'd call on me. You devil.
I'll pay back.
Well, we talked about, finding speakers, and I was asking whether the district still had a resource of a list of speakers that we can call on. That was helpful. We talked about district grants a little bit, and the need for making a $100 donation to the district foundation in order to qualify for a grant. One of the suggestions that was brought up, what I thought was interesting, that for programs to help new people get feel comfortable, and for the other members to get to know them better, is for them to be prepared to speak at a meeting and tell us about themselves and their interests, maybe their work, their hobbies. As always, then that's a really good thing to do, because you can now, every member is expected to contribute their expertise, their knowledge, their experience to the fulfillment of the club's objectives. And you don't know too much about that until they speak up and they can share that with the members. So I thought that was a really good idea. I don't know if anybody else from the group wants to add anything.
Anybody else? So we turn it over to 2 now. Number 1, are we done? Hey, Tom, let's go to 2.
All right, Marie, do you want to call them off?
Certainly. Number 2, it was Andy, Ann, Colleen, Joe Pizor, Jordan, Nate Miller, and Teresa. It's all you guys.
Well, I would like to nominate the young Jordan and hear what our youngest PE on deck or in the hole, whatever it is. I'm not a baseball guy, I'm a wrestler. I'd like to hear what she had to say.
Yeah, so, the first question, we talked about a big issue that everyone has seen so far this year is really getting members to stay involved and stay engaged, and how to overcome that, and sharing, fundraising ideas between the different clubs on, what you can do virtually to not only keep your fundraising efforts up, but to also keep your club members engaged and entice new members from coming in. We also talked about the social media footprint, that you guys are working on some stuff for clubs and, presidents and everything on how to better utilize your social media. A really good point that we made was that was made by Colleen was using, if you're trying to get speakers to come in to get new members and to engage your members, pull from, your list of local officials in, your towns and your counties and everything. Interesting officials will bring in interesting members. And we talked also a lot about the district grant money that's available, and making sure you lean into the support that your AG can give you, understand what's going on, and also delegating different jobs and district communications to your members, because you can't know everything as one person and you can't do everything as one person. So find people that are gonna do that you feel are going to fit into certain committees and be able to talk to the district. I'm losing it, sorry. The different leadership options that the district has.
Right. Anything else? I guess we can move on to group number 3 now. Thank you.
Okay, group 3, we had Ellen, John, Karen, Kim, Rich, and Steven.
Well, Stephen, did you want to start us off?
Yes, please. Thanks, Tim. I think we had a real good discussion about how individual clubs can coordinate the present with the future with their assistant governors. And I would encourage that. I think that's an excellent way to strengthen our position and move us forward. We had a very, very good discussion, thanks to Ellen and John, over the knowledge that individual members of a club have of Rotary and the district. And I learned a lot from that. And Kim and Ellen, I'd ask you to step in, and John too, to expand on some of those thoughts that we had. Thank you.
Well, I think we also talked about Rotary Magazine and how instrumental and insightful that resource can be, at least as an instigation, a source of inspiration. And I think when we're talking about the types of support and do the club members understand the support, there was a wide range. I mean, Steve, you said that you and Fox Chapel have a very large, unique, and unified membership. And I think others are quite new and maybe perhaps not quite as, we're fledgling and we lack information. And even some of the current membership is facing retirement. So there was a broad range there, and I don't think we really came to a consensus. But that was part of the process, and it was wonderful to see, that all of our clubs have really diverse a way of seeing and approaching and dealing with our current COVID crisis, but also larger mini crises.
And we also talked about RLI a little bit and how that would be a good resource to help prepare us to be president of our clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Anything else? Okay, on to number 4. We're halfway through and we have about 15 minutes, not quite.
Okay, number 4 had a big room. We had Aaron, Carol, Dan, Darlene, Dawn, George, Jonathan, Michelle, and Mike.
I'll start off a little bit. On the first half, what our group talked about with how can the district help you and your club be more successful in reaching your goals. One of the things was brought up is we do a lot of leadership training, but there are some folks that won't be a leader, but they're longtime treasurers, secretaries, and one of the participants brought up how their treasurer is newer and maybe a little bit more of a need that they don't understand the simpler things like 990s and that type of thing. When we talked about where to go, one of the biggest answers was your AGs, and we talked about how nobody knows everything, but most of us at least know who to point you to. So if it's not an answer that we can't give you, we know who to point over to. That was the 2 biggest things we talked about. If anybody else has more that I might have missed, jump in there too. I think that's pretty good for us.
Okay, on to number 5 then.
Okay, group 5, Brandy, Harold, Joe, John, Sandra, and Tom. Don't all jump at once.
I can go. My name's Joe Verducci. I'm from the Bridgeville South Fayette group. We probably talk more about how how that being a president-elect is going to affect time-wise. Also to try to membership. Harold, Mr. Hicks, I had a very interesting conversation in regards to how to have membership days and ways to figure out how we can get a better participation, especially when we have, and this is something John had said, doing the virtual meetings or doing it both virtually and in presence, like almost like a hybrid, which actually we did a couple times. So that's definitely something I think that if you have those people that are just hesitant on getting together in person, you got to figure out a way to get everybody involved. It's probably the biggest hurdle that we've been running into.
Anything else from group number 5? Well, I guess not. So let's move on to group number 6. Last but not least.
Last but not least, Dennis, Gary, Karen, Rick, Sheila, and Walt.
Walt,
I will be glad to kind of share. I love my group. We had some great discussion. We have some very seasoned presidents. And the first thing we really talked about was just relying on what your resources in your club. There were a lot of past leaderships in the club, some past district governors and things like that. I know we have Karen, who is a new president, and I know who will do very well. A little nervous, but that's, to be expected, but at least knowing what the resources are and knowing where those answers are. So I think just relying on the experience and the expertise that have been there prior is just a valuable resource, knowing where to go for those answers. But we also encourage reaching out to people who, like I think Walt, you said it, some people don't always express themselves, and getting to know them and getting to see that fresh idea that might not have materialized in the past or come from new members. And then the second part was, I think it was almost like you might get it this year in your PETS training, but we provided a president's checklist. And so it was a really great way to say, don't forget about the tax form, which was one of the questions that came up in our group. As leadership changes, roles change, things can get overlooked. And the government doesn't like it when you don't fill that out after so many years. But all Rotary clubs are 504c. You are not nonprofits. You are 504s, which means you're exempt from the tax or filing any kind of a tax record, but you still have to acknowledge that you're still in existence. So that's just one of those little things that's on this president's checklist that we can make sure goes out. It'll probably be in your president's pack, but it made it really easy to say step 1, step 2, step 3. So that's kind of what we talked about. I did post in there a link. One of the last part we talked about was getting a feel for your club. A couple of our members said, just getting a little survey. There's some great health club checklists on the RI website. Those links are under the membership section on the district website. So I posted on there. Great resource to kind of get to know your members and kind of what's not being said and so forth. Thank you. Anything else I missed, guys?
No, but I really liked that when you threw in that health assessment, that lady thought her club was going so wonderfully. And then after people filled out the survey, she found out not so good. What? I'm going to.
She admits it. She's like, do the health check. And it's just a free PDF. Yep. So that link is on there with a whole bunch of stuff.
Great.
I just wanted to say, sorry about that. If you look at the chat section, you'll see that Dennis and a couple other people posted stuff that could help you. PDGs at mentoring, there's a link that Dennis put on. We'll probably put that on the next email reminding you of the third installment as well.
Okay.
Hey, anybody else have anything regarding the two questions we were asked and the group discussion? I will just add one thing to what Dennis was saying about the IRS. The 1099 form, and this will be covered later on, I'm sure, but just since it was brought up. The 1099 is an annual, basically a postcard type thing you have to fill out online, which just registers the club as a 501c4. That means that you do not pay sales tax when you buy something, and you are not responsible to pay income tax on the money you bring in from your dues or your fundraisers. If you fail to file that 1099 for 3 years in a row, you lose that nonprofit status, and you are then liable to pay taxes on your dues and your fundraising activities. And if you lose that and have to go back and do it again, it can cost you several $100s just to get back that status. So it's something that's very important. You'll hear more later on, but I just wanted to point that out because keep that in mind. It's something we have to do.
Walt, that doesn't make you tax exempt.
Sales tax.
No, it does not make you. 504C is not tax exempt. Just so people understand it. 503 does. Rotary clubs are 504. So you're still technically obligated to pay sales tax.
Sales
so
tax.
Can't go into Best Buy and say I'm a Rotary Club. I don't pay. That doesn't work that way. There are ways around that, but if you want to know more about it, you can certainly let me know.
Yeah, I was wrong on that. Thank you. Put that out, Dennis. Okay, do we have anything else? Vince?
Yeah, well, in regard to finances, Module 6 is going to cover the district finances, and that's one of the issues that will be discussed. So stay tuned. We'll be getting back to this topic in about 3 weeks. Also, when it comes to club leadership, Module 7 will be focusing on what it means to be a president. And we'll be including in that a checklist, a health checklist for your club, and a checklist for your president, for the president. So that information is coming. I'm very excited to see that we're already discussing it now. It really shows a lot of leadership coming from our new president-elect. So this is good. This is exciting, and let's just stay tuned for the next show.
Thanks, Vince. And speaking of headlines, let's give Dan just a minute or two to tell us what's coming up next week to pique your interest and get you back. Dan?
Next week is going to be myself and Dennis Piper. We are your technology co-chairs for the district. A couple of things we're going to talk about. One is DACDB. That's our database for the district. When you add a new member, that's where you go, you put it in there. That's where whenever you get emails from the district for membership summit, that's where it comes from. We're going to cover that a little bit, how you utilize, at least for the basics, how it could help you with bulletins, emailing your clubs, things of that nature. We're going to cover on My Rotary and Goal Center. You want to touch on that a little bit, Dennis? You're a little bit better on that end than me.
Yeah, basically just it's relatively new. DACDB in the world of communications and keeping clubs connected is another tool that Club Runner used to be. So if you're not familiar with any of that, we're going to kind of go over those, but we are no longer using Club Runner. There are a few clubs that still have it, but for the most part, DACDB has a great offering, and we want you to utilize it. There's a lot of free things that you're eligible to use that Club Runner didn't have, and that was one of the biggest reasons. DAC was created by Rotarians, and so it just makes sense to be able to use something that people made it to be practical for us. So there's a lot of great resources for you, for your clubs, and for your members, and we'll be going through that. Certainly not going to give you the complete ins and outs because we want to talk to you personally. No, it's just a lot of information, but we're going to highlight some of the key components.
Just to let everybody know what it stands for, DACDB, District and Club Database.
Oh,
That's what it's all about.
huh.
Anybody else
You'll
have
be
any?
quizzed next week on that. Just saying.
Anybody else have any comments?
No.
I'd like to thank everybody myself for being out tonight. Hope you got a lot out of it.
Well,
I want to have Vince get on before Vince is going to have the final good night. Anybody else before Vince talks?
Harold Hicks.
Yeah,
Bill?
I just wanted to, last evening, we had our first meeting of the Rotary Works coaches. And I just wanted to plug that, Stephanie Urchik, our zone director, initiated that program and they're getting ready to launch it. This is something good for everybody to know about. If you have club members who've lost their job during this pandemic or for some other reason, and they're looking for career change or opportunities, the whole idea is to put together a coach with those people who are seeking, and they can go to rotaryworks.org and get connected. So there are currently 32 coaches around the region and 9 people who are actively engaged in looking for new work, new opportunities, whatever they may be.
Excellent. Vince, the final word?
Okay. First of all, I want to thank everyone for participating. I listened to a lot of very interesting discussions, a lot of questions, a lot of good answers. And basically, this format was designed so that we have this opportunity to exchange ideas, share experiences. And that's what we did. And throughout the rest of the training, we're going to be going through various aspects of Rotary at the district level and then as president. And we want to encourage everyone to be engaged in the discussion and sharing ideas. If you have an issue or concern about your club, this is a great way to link with other people who have similar problems or have had similar experiences and can talk about the ways that they approached it. So with that, I want to thank the team who put this all together, as well as all those who participated in the discussions. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone next week. If you have any questions, concerns about the program, please share it with us, the development team, and we'll be happy to respond to you. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Take care.